Namaste, I am Susanna of class 8 and today I would like to explain about types of microorganisms. There are 5 types of microorganisms. The first is virus, that is bacteria, phage and HIV. And next is bacteria, that is lactobacillus. Then comes fungi, birdmouse, then protozoa, amoeba, paramecium, and then comes algae, spirogyra and chlamydomonas. So amoeba and paramecium are the two examples of protozoa that I am going to tell today. So let's understand the figure of amoeba. So this rest of the part of the amoeba is known as cytoplasm. The outline of the amoeba is known as cell membrane. This middle part or the center of the amoeba is known as nucleus. Now, if two cell membranes combine, it gives a pseudopodia. So, what is an amoeba? Amoeba is a unicellular organism. It means that the whole body of amoeba is made up of a single cell. It performs all its activities with that unicell. Okay. Now what is a pseudopodia? Pseudopodia is mean by two words. That is pseudo and podia. That is pseudo means false and podia means foot. False foot. So when we combine two cell membranes, it gives us pseudopodia. Now pseudopodia are the cell membranes which help in capturing the food and helps to engulf the food. Now using this cell membrane and using all these parts, means only three parts, that are cytoplasm, cell membrane and nucleus, it does many activities such as moving, such as capturing food and even excretion using cell membrane. Now let's go to paramecium. So let's understand the figure of paramecium. This whole part rest is known as cytoplasm. This outline, this is known as pericell. The small nucleus is known as micronucleus. The larger nucleus is known as macronucleus. These small lines are known as cilia. So, paramecium is also a unicellular organism that is present in water. Now, if suppose this paramecium enters into our body, we may get some diseases like dysentery and even malaria. Its shape is just like a slipper, right? That's why the other name of paramecium is known as slipper animal clue. Now, paramecium cannot reproduce, but amoeba can reproduce. Now, if this is a mother amoeba, when we split this, it gives us two daughter amoebas. It gives us two daughter amoebas. So this process of splitting the mother amoeba to get two daughter amoebas is known as binary fission. Now we will discuss about algae. Algae is considered as a plant part. Because it contains green color pigment called the chlorophyll. Normally this chlorophyll is present in the leaves of trees and plants, by which they can make their own food, and as algae also has the chlorophyll, even it can make its own food, and this algae floats on water. Now this is a spirogyra, which is an example of algae. Let's understand it. This outline is known as the cell wall, and this round circles type is known as chloroplast, and this is known as cytoplasmic strand, and this middle of the spirogyra is known as nucleus, and this the rest of the parts are known as cytoplasm. Now spirogyra. What is spirogyra? Spirogyra is an example of algae, so even it has the green pigment. Now if we take that as a rough diagram, now this is a mother spirogyra. This is a mother spirogyra. Now, if one spirogyra gets detached from this mother spirogyra. If this gets detached from the mother spirogyra, it can lead its own life and create its daughter spirogyras using the chlorophyll. It can live in an independent life with the chlorophyll, and it can lead its own life and it can create its own daughter spirogyras. So now I would like to explain about fungi. The fungi undergoes two types of nutrition, that is saprophytic nutrition and symbiotic relationship. Saprophytic nutrition, the organisms that takes the nutrients from the dead and decayed matter is known as saprophytic nutrition, and whatever organism undergoes that nutrition are known as saprotrophs. So a fungi is a saprotrophs. And symbiotic relationship, when two organisms benefit each other, are known as symbiotic relationship. Some fungus lives in the roots of plants, and the plant provides some nutrients to the fungus, and in return the fungus also provides some water and some certain nutrients. Now here is an example of fungi, that is bread mold. So now understand the figure. These both or all these parts that are in the edge are known as rhizoids, and this is known as stolon, and the circle parts are known as hyphae, and this is known as sporangium. This is spores, and this is sporangium spore. Now what happens is, if we keep the bread mold in without sunlight for 2 to 3 days, it becomes black and it starts germinating some hair-type structures, which are known as stolon or rhizoids. And what happens is, it slowly grows into a filament and then comes a round ball-type structure which is known as sporangium, and on that will be spores, and after that inside them also will be spores. When it's completely germinated, the sporangium bursts out and the spores come and again fall on the bread mold, and it again starts another cycle. So the germinating spore something looks like this, and whenever the filament grows, it grows something like this, and then forms a round ball type of structure. So now I would like to explain about viruses. So today I would like to explain about three types of viruses: bacteriophage, influenza virus, and HIV virus. So let's understand their diagrams. Bacteriophage. So in bacteriophage, the shaded part is known as DNA, and here the rest of the circle type is known as nucleic acid, and this coated part is known as protein coat, and this is known as tail, and these are known as fibers. For influenza virus, this shaded part is known as RNA, and this the rest of the coated part is known as nucleic acid, and the coat is known as protein coat, and this lightly shaded part is known as membrane envelope. So for HIV virus, this round shaped part is known as glycoproteins, and this is known as protease, and this small circle is known as integrase, and this little smaller is known as reverse transcriptase, and here this outline is known as lipid membrane, and this line, the curve, is known as viral genome, and this lead type, the coating is known as capsid. So what is virus? The virus cannot reproduce in when it does not have a living body. So to reproduce, it has to get a living body. So whenever it gets a living body, what it does is it increases and it reproduces much longer. It increases its number and it fights against the host cell. And by fighting, what happens is it will make the host cell weak and sometimes even may lead to the death of host cell. So whenever it fights against the host cell, it increases its number. So it as virus does not have a particular shape, so it is very hard to find the vaccine. So the vaccine is nothing but the weak part of the virus. So HIV virus. What is HIV virus? HIV virus is known as human aminovirus. So whenever this is applied to our body, or it is caused to our body, it causes AIDS problem. That is acquired amino deficiency syndrome. That is known as AIDS. This causes AIDS, and whenever the AIDS problem come to us, the AIDS destroys our completely destroys our immunity system, and it will lead to our death. So to be aware of all these types of viruses, we need to keep our surroundings clean and green. So now I would like to explain about bacteria. So this is the figure of a bacterial cell. So let's understand it. These two tentacle parts are known as pili, and this tail type structure is known as flagellum, and this outline part is known as plasma membrane, and this inside part is known as cytoplasm, and this is known as cell wall, and this dots types are known as ribosomes, and this outer part, outer outline is known as capsule, and this ribbon type structure is known as DNA. So what is a bacteria? Bacteria is a unicellular organism, just like the protozoa, but it doesn't come under protozoa. So what happens is, bacteria also needs a living organism to reproduce, and according to the availability of the nutrients, it changes its shapes. As there is no particular shape, so it is very hard to find the vaccine for it, and the weakest part is known as the vaccine. And the weakest part of the bacteria is known as the vaccine. The bacteria causes diseases for both plants and animals. Thank you.